Hello and welcome to another A Nerdy Journey podcast episode, the podcast where we talk to filmmakers about their journeys into the entertainment industry. I'm your host, AK Moore, and my guest today is Stephanie Chloé Hepner, a quadruple threat actor, writer, director, and producer known for her acting roles on Law & Order, The Equalizer, New Amsterdam, and A Boy Like That, along with directing a Tribeca Official Selection in 2023, and if that wasn't enough, is in the process of creating her very first LA-based live show. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's a pleasure having you on.
The pleasure's mine. Thank you, AK. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, I know you are friends with one of our former guests, Chloe Blonde, and I am so glad she recommended you because, boy, do you have a lot of awesome things going on right now.
I do. It's a full plate. It is a full plate, and I'm very blessed.
Yes. It's always fun having a full plate, but can, get a little stressful, but I feel like that's what we all kind of live for.
Absolutely.
So I apologize to any of our viewers out there, but Stephanie here is in the process of directing a play, which is amazing. It's so hard to get a play up and running in Los Angeles. I had a friend who did it twice, and it was just not a sustainable business model. So I commend anybody who's able to get it done. And the reason I say I apologize to any of our viewers is because the name of it is called Platinum Pussy. That's an awesome name personally. I think that, that gets people's attention right off the bat. So kudos to you. And you co-wrote it, you're starring in it, you're directing it, and you're producing it. Are you sleeping?
I don't. It's not a thing. Is it a thing for you? Who sleeps anymore?
Yes.
Yeah, sleep is very scarce at the moment, but I'm very grateful, and my entire cast and crew is putting a lot of work, a lot of hours in. So it's a communal project. It feels like my baby with my co-creator, Sarish Khan, and it does feel we're all putting a lot of hours, and I'm very proud.
Oh, absolutely. There is no such thing as an easy task. Even putting together a short film, or in your case, what I assume was probably a feature-length film, or at any rate, is very difficult. So I want to talk about your play really quick, so that way anybody who is joining knows a little bit about it. So it's called, as I said, Platinum Pussy, and it's a play about a live taping of the talk show After Hours with Jimmy Lang, with special guest Serena Abbasi. Is that how you pronounce that?
Serena Abbasi, you got it.
Awesome. Who is a sex therapist and author of the New York bestseller Platinum Pussy, an autobiographical fiction about unapologetically owning our sexuality. Boy, what a topical thing to be dealing with. And you co-wrote this.
What?
And you said you co-wrote this, correct?
I co-wrote this. So like I said, Sarish brought the idea to me back in April as I was going on a trip to New York to do some production there. And I loved the idea. I loved the story behind it. I loved every second of it. And then we went through a few drafts. We stepped in to write and to co-write in the middle of that drafting process because of the I guess, my experience and the kind of story that I wanted to tell. And if I was going to be the director, a few things had to come in play, and we both worked together very, very closely. I can say I've never met anyone that works as hard and as much as me until Sarish. So she has been my partner in crime in this, and I'm just incredibly grateful. The writing process was pretty crazy because we were on a deadline. It wasn't like she brought me a play and we'll do it whenever. It was like, she had an idea. The play got an honorable mention at the Hollywood Fringe Festival. It was a big deal. And the dates were locked. So it was like, we got to have a play out by June 7th, which is tomorrow. Okay, let's do it. So it was a race, and we're here. We're at the finish line.
Awesome. And so this is showing at the Hudson Theater in Los Angeles on June 7th, 16th, 26th, and 29th. We will have a link in the description down below. And in addition to that, I'm sure we will talk more in depth about how this came to be and all of the, struggles of quickly putting together a play a little bit later. But before we get into diving into that anymore, I would love to know, given you were born in Argentina and moved around a lot when you were younger, at what point did you decide that you wanted to be a creative person. You wanted to go into acting and directing and writing and producing and everything else that you do.
It's a funny story. I grew up in Argentina, born and raised there. And then I graduated high school in Argentina. I had family living in the US. And I always knew I wanted to leave Buenos Aires and come to the US, specifically New York. And I was following a philosophy track. I'd been in the philosophy Olympics and the national team in Argentina. I thought I was going to do that and go to college for that. So I was auditing a few classes at the university in Buenos Aires. And then I woke up one day. I just knew I wanted to go to the States, but I wasn't sure for what. And I was 17. And I woke up one day and I told my mom, I remember I was like sitting up in my bed in that old apartment. And I said, I'm going to the US to be an actor. And she looked at me like I was great. And she went, okay, cool. What do you need? Like, figure it out. So it was just, there was this thing that took over me and I've never looked back.
That is so awesome that you had an immediately supportive mother, because I too know what it's like to tell your family, I want to move to Los Angeles and be a filmmaker. And you can never quite describe the look of concern that is on their faces when you tell them that, because immediately they picture you as homeless.
I mean, many years later, I won't age myself. Both my parents are still very concerned, right? But they're like they're you know, pretty high up there in my fan club. They come and they support and they ask me what I need, and they believe in the talent, and they also believe in hard work, maybe more than the talent. So I'm very lucky to have them on my corner.
That is absolutely just great to have. Family support means everything. When you have those long nights or those struggling days, just knowing that you have a family there to support you means everything. And so you moved to New York first and then went to NYU Tisch School, correct? Yes,
I had a little stint where I lived in Orange County, California, with family there, and I started doing some theater training there. Made a ton of friends. Some of them, it was a long time ago, but we're still friends. Then I got into NYU Tisch, went there for drama, and then I stayed in New York after college for 11 years.
Wow. Okay. And what made you decide to move to LA, and how long have you been here for?
I've been in LA. It's going to be 2.5 years, actually. It's going to be 2.5, running on 2.5. I was coming back and forth to LA pre-pandemic, like 2017, 18, after shooting A Boy Like That. I was coming back and forth a lot, booking some work here as an actor. A lot of my best friends from New York had moved here. I started loving the weather. Every time I had to go back to New York, it was very hard to leave and be there in like, I don't know, -10 Fahrenheit or whatnot. And it was time. I realized New York had become home. And then there was moments that I didn't want to leave LA, and New York no longer felt like a home I wanted to go back to. That being said, so anyway, I started spending 3 weeks in LA, 4 weeks in LA, etc. And I finally took the plunge. I was in Argentina visiting family end of 2021, when, you know, the airs opened up and you could take flights and see people. And then my flight was going to be back to New York in early 2022. And I just went to LA with my suitcase. I was just like, I'll figure it out. I'll rent an apartment. I went to a hotel for 3 days, found an apartment in LA. And then that was early 2022. And of course, ever since I moved to LA, I've been working back in New York so much. So now I still get to go back. I still get to visit all the people I love that are there. I still get to play in New York City, which has a huge piece of my heart. A huge piece of my personality is New York. And I do feel like a New Yorker in LA right now, and it's a great feeling.
Honestly, I feel like New Yorker in LA is the best vibe you can have, because you can both have, like you said, the weather advantages. You have all of the wonderful LA things that you can do lifestyle wise, hiking, the beach, what have you, any outdoor activity you want. But you also can get shit done, because that's what you know how to do. And I feel like that gives you a good advantage amongst a crowd of people who maybe don't get up at, 5 a.m. and go to bed at 3 a.m.
Do you know my schedule? Were you looking at my phone? Yes, that's true. It does. You do stand out here that way. Versus in New York, everyone's doing that. Like you're one in a million. Yeah, and the other thing I'll say is LA, it was a test. It was just like, oh, let me see what it's like to change the vibe, change the energy. And LA has given me a lot in 2.5 years. I'm so eternally grateful and happy to be here and continue to create. And a lot of my incredible co-creators are here. Yeah, and I wouldn't trade that for the world.
That is, once again, being surrounded by the right people. And as you mentioned a little while ago, being surrounded by people who have your work ethic or surpass it always makes you strive harder. It's, the adage of you don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room because you want that smarter person to lift you up. Same thing I feel like with work ethic. If you have the hardest work ethic, you might start to stumble a little bit. Surround yourself by people who work even harder. And boy, is it motivating.
Amen to that. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
And so you lived in New York for quite some time. And were acting jobs your first jobs that you did out there? Or did you do other jobs in entertainment before that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I graduated NYU Tisch, and obviously I went straight to Broadway. No, I did not. But that's what I
not
thought.
Unheard of.
Right? That's what I did think that was going to be what was going to happen. I was not into theater and film that much when I graduated. I did do a lot of free or low-paying theater off Broadway. Then I thankfully graduated to off Broadway, and continued training on the jobs. Continued all the theater training, the NYU and NYU Florence in Italy. I did a semester there. Continued applying it and learning a lot and living in theater in the city, which is just a whole subculture. It's pretty magical. I've never seen or experienced anything else like it. And yeah, and that was those jobs came quite often, some paid, some unpaid. And I had to do side jobs. I was temping at an office. I was working in finance for a bit. Don't ask why. Let's not ask why.
Can I just real quick ask what you were doing in finance?
I was an office manager at this incredibly crazy fancy trading hedge fund at a hedge fund. And I was surrounded by the people that know all the things and do all the moves and trying to act. Acting served me in so many jobs. Acting has just allowed me to step into a role and learn it as I went.
I mean, talk about a phenomenal skill to have, both in how you step into any job, but also being a manager at a hedge fund place. That is an incredible skill set that I feel like, I kind of want to do that for 6 months now, just to get on whatever level is necessary to help manage something like that. That is wholly different from what you're currently doing, but I feel like is also so applicable to your producing life that I feel like, if you could do that, I'm sure not a whole lot of other things scare you as much as they used to. You're right on the money, 100%. All those skills are super transferable. I don't think there are some producing courses here and there, but the first thing I produced, I produced a big play in New York, which I was one of the leads in, and that was crazy. It was a 3-hour play. My God.
And a few of us produced it together, because you can't do this alone. That's one thing I'll say, even though you may think you can, you cannot. But yeah, all those skills of managing work environments and managing just multiple people, multiple personalities, multiple schedules, multiple deliverables, all those trained me to produce a feature. I produced a feature film before I even made a short, and then went back to shorts.
Oh, okay.
It was just okay, let's do this. We'll shoot the feature.
Can I ask what your budget was on the feature?
You can. It was about $60K. Not a lot for a feature. It was back in 2017, so I don't know if that with inflation translates to anything.
It's still very little. It's still very indie, and you're asking for a lot of favors. Could I ask how you got the $60K for it?
So it was finance. I was the line producer and on-set producer. I was not the EP where I financed it. They came to me with financing, and I was the person doing the making it happen with that money.
That's the role I prefer. I have a producing partner who is the finding the money person. I don't know how to do that for shit. I tell her, I'm like, you're telling me all of these different people you're talking to right now about getting money. I appreciate it, but I don't know crap about raising money. Once the budget is locked in, tell me and I will budget it out for you. Get everything in Movie Magic, do the breakdowns, get the crew going. That's what I can do once the budget's in there. That finding the money, nope.
Finding the money, it's its own skill set. Usually, yeah, that's why EPs are so incredibly important, to just be the EP, just find the money. We'll do everything else, because it's a full-time job. It's an incredible skill set, and you got to know the right people. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something maybe 2 minutes ago. You said off Broadway. Now, I've heard of off Broadway before. Is off Broadway an official term?
It is. It is an official term for any non-New Yorkers out there listening. Off Broadway are theater houses. A theater is usually called the house. Theater houses that are smaller. They're usually, a lot of them are downtown New York. So if Broadway is in Midtown, where Times Square, all the big theaters that seat from 500 to 1,500 people, like that's Broadway. All those shows are, for the most part, very, very high budget. A lot of them have TV stars in them, or movie stars, like we've seen. And they're usually plays that are guaranteed successes, like a version of a movie that they put into a play, or something with a huge star, because they're investing so much money. And or it's also a play that has done very well off Broadway, which are smaller houses, usually also downtown, like Astor Place, 8th Street, where NYU is. It's around Washington Square Park, if anyone's familiar with that. West Village, East Village, those are things that we've seen on TV and movies, where the cast of Friends allegedly lived. Soho, right? So those, if a play has done very well off Broadway, like Hamilton, right, became a phenomenon, they'll bring it to Broadway. So after an off-Broadway run, they'll expand it and they'll invest more money and make it bigger. Now, off Broadway are usually shows that are paid very little or unpaid. And they can be one acts that are, 50 to 60 minutes. They can be full-length plays, newer writers, newer directors, smaller theaters. And that's what off is.
I just learned that Hamilton was an off-Broadway start. Okay.
Yeah, it was at the Public Theater, which is incredible. It's so well known for having hits from off, and then they just take off and become huge successes. And
so how long after graduating NYU did you actually start to make some of these solid inroads, I would say, into the acting side, along with, theater and your television career?
So funny thing, you said graduating. So at my graduation, my dad was living in the US. My mom she's still, in Argentina. She flew for my graduation. And it was the morning. We all did the ceremony at Radio City, which is, of course, huge landmark. We all cried, whatever. And they all wanted to do this graduation lunch. And I was like, love you guys. I got an audition. And I left. I didn't go to my graduation party. I went to an audition downtown, took the subway in my freaking graduation gown, changed in the hallway, had an audition and booked it for an off-Broadway show. So that spirit is still in me. I usually milk the 27 hours in a day that I can. So that was, and I booked it, and it was a show, and it was in a small theater, and it was great. I had a ton of fun. I had to have an orgasm in some elevator, fully clothed. It was hilarious. I still remember it. And that led to another job. But as I was doing this theater that was not necessarily high paying, I was still doing the jobs like temping and office management. And that was, you asked about film and TV. So that was like 2012. I didn't really get into film and TV until 2017 or 18. Yeah.
So a lot of years of like off Broadway and off Broadway before that. And then also having to take up the managerial role at the hedge fund as well to sustain yourself. Because I can imagine it's a little expensive up there.
Oh, yeah. New York. I mean, LA is expensive. New York is incredibly expensive. Yeah.
That is what I have heard. And, I'll take LA for so many reasons because of that. And obviously weather and location. But okay, so you booked the day you graduated, which is an incredible, just, check on your career right there. What do you feel like, or do you feel like NYU helped you get any jobs, both that initial first one or anything that you've gotten since? Do you feel like they've are going to Tisch helped propel you, or yeah?
You know, I'll tell you this story about that. It's not like we graduated and they handed us, you know, or they went out and left our resume to every theater in the city. However, I did do in maybe 2019, I came to LA for an NYU diversity showcase. I'm Latina, so they selected a few students, you had to submit and you had to audition, and there was a diversity showcase for writers and actors. So people that had also graduated from NYU wrote these pilots, and we got to shoot snippets of the pilots, show them, and then do more live scenes. So it was pretty cool. It was like 6 pilots. They shot a teaser of each one, and after the teaser, you would get, I don't know, 10 more minutes of it. And I was in 2 in that showcase. I got a manager from that in LA. But then years later, it was a great experience, met a ton of NYU people in LA where I wasn't very connected because I was still living in New York. So I flew for that. And this year, so that was, I think it was like 2018. This year, I was given a theater job without an audition at a theater in LA from somebody that knew me from that showcase that was also an NYU grad, a writer. They produced this new play at the Broadwater in Hollywood, the theater. And they were like, Stephanie, we know you from this, here's a role, do you want it? And it was, so that is connected through my NYU network, right? Because that person, even though I didn't go to school with them, even though I didn't know them while I was in Tisch, they met me through that workshop and they remembered my work from, I don't know, 7 years ago. So I do have that to say for itself. Yeah.
Nice. Well, honestly, it's always the random connection that you never expect
that
comes back around. Somebody who I met literally 5 years ago, just about 6 years ago, shortly after I moved to LA, is the reason I have the post-producing job I have now 5 years later. So you never know who is going to lead to whatever job. It's good to just be nice to everybody because of that.
Always. And yeah, the world is full of a-holes. Just be nice.
Yeah. Could not agree more. Especially because it's stressful what we do. So you might as well work with people who you enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay. So this feature that you produced, your first feature that you made for about 60 grand, was that this one that got into Tribeca, or is that a follow-up feature?
No, that feature was done. It was my first film and TV project that I produced. Not that I starred in. It was done in 2017, 18 in New York. Daddy Issues, the film that was done in Tribeca, that got into Tribeca, was shot in 2022 in LA, and we got into Tribeca 2023. So A Boy Like That, when you read my intro, that is the feature that I started with.
Wow. And on top of all of that, this short that got into Tribeca, getting anything made is difficult. I feel like sometimes a feature can be just as hard as a short based on the amount of money that goes into it, because a short that you don't have enough money to make is going to be a lot harder to honestly make than a feature that you have plenty of money to work with. It's the same skills across the board, just how many days are you on set, really? So can you talk to me about the process of getting this short that you made done?
Daddy Issues. One really, really close friend of mine, Matt Campanella, who stars in Daddy Issues, came to me with the idea that it stemmed from, I'm going to go back. When I moved to LA, I was part of this filmmaking group. It was a group of actors that we all went to the same school of acting in different classes. And we decided we were going to make our own content. We were going to put a certain amount of money in the bucket, in our treasure chest.
Yeah.
And each month we were going to shoot a short, whether somebody wrote it or directed it or PA'd or starred in it. We were all just going to rotate positions to make everyone's content. That was early 2022. And then there was, I forget what filmmaking contest had a prompt to shoot a movie about a father-son relationship. So somebody from that film group, a very close friend of mine, Matt Campanella, had the idea for Daddy Issues. And he wrote it. We went back and forth. Like I gave notes, he did rewrites, we did rewrites together, then more notes, etc. And then we realized, let's not use it for this contest because it's going to be crazy. Let's really shoot it and make it. And that's where it stemmed from. Let's really shoot it and make it. We've done a lot of hard work. It's really good. And this contest, the parameters and the what we had to stick by and the dates weren't going to work to make it as good as we wanted. So that's where Daddy Issues stemmed from. It was a 1-day shoot. It is a short. It was a 1-day shoot. It was not a lot of money. It was $5,500. And
paid for food and some, I guess, equipment, really, right?
Yeah, food, equipment. I think we paid a couple people in the crew. No, we definitely paid the DP, the gaffer, like the sound person. Everybody, most people did get paid. Location we paid for. Wow. Props, costumes. Yeah, no. And then I think with post and festival submissions might have amounted to $6,500, which is not a lot.
No, that's very resourceful of how you use your money. You are a phenomenal line producer.
Yeah, and Matt also has that brain of let's figure it out. There was a lot. Some of the crew that were just PAs or hands-on, those were not paid, but a lot of the people did get their day rate for sure. Matt and I firmly believe when you can pay people, pay people.
Agreed.
Though this life is hard enough, right? And I said I've done unpaid work. I've done work for very little pay, so I completely empathize with that. So we had no idea it was going to take off. We had no idea it was going to get us into Tribeca, which was a dream come true. Yeah. And
when did anything come out of getting it into Tribeca for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, eventually, Matt decided to write the feature version, which I absolutely love. We've gone over that script, and it's a great story. It's a solid story. So you're probably going to see it in theaters soon, eventually, in like the next 5 years when it's greenlit. Other than that, there was a ton of connections. My next film directing gig, I'm directing a movie in July in New York. So going back to New York, and the person that wrote it and the executive producer found me, I believe, because of Tribeca and having my name out there and things like that. Yeah, there was quite a few things that came out of that. I'm trying to think of direct opportunities. I definitely, like, my representation was changed. And I think, the Tribeca stamp is quite impressive, even as an actor. So my representation as an actor changed. And I think it's like a stamp of approval, right? Like you have that and you come with that. I got to meet De Niro, which was super cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was so awesome. And Jane Rosenthal, who is his right hand, co-founder of Tribeca, she's a fantastic lady. And yeah, I think I met a ton of directors there who have asked me to be in films. Then your credibility changes most of all. So when people introduce me, sometimes they go, yeah, she had a movie in Tribeca. And then, so it's more about the hearsay, but it's really wonderful. And I am not complaining whatsoever.
Well, just a huge congratulations. That is no small feat. And it's not like you just woke up one day, decided to make a film, and then suddenly everything changed for you. You've been working at this for well over a decade at this point, and you're finally starting to, get, see the fruits of your labor and all this. And that's got to be a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, that is what it feels like. There was a ton of times where, you question, am I going to do this forever? Am I am I good? Am I worthy? Am I one in a million? Am I, a dime a dozen? But it takes time I think in LA and New York are both known to be 10-year towns. I put in my 10 in New York. I will put in my 10 or 20 in LA, and I'm work begets work, hard work does pay off. All of those cliche sayings, they're all true. They're all true. It takes time, but if you stick at it, if you find the right people to surround yourself with, if you wake up every day wanting to do this, it will happen.
I have the exact same mentality, and that's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
I fully believe it's a war of attrition. You just have to keep at it, and eventually you will get your break. And it sounds like you've had no shortage of moving up the ladder recently. So seriously, that is just phenomenal to hear somebody chasing their dreams and finally breaking through a lot of those barriers. Also, would I be able to get a link to this short film so I could link it down below, or is it not out yet?
Yeah, no, okay. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Awesome. Well, I want to watch it, and I want to link it so anybody listening to this can watch it as well.
Thank you.
So I want to take a step aside from the industry just for a moment.
Yes, let's breathe a little.
Exactly.
Because that is so important.
Yes. And that's why I want to bring it up, because I feel like it's so easy to get lost in your head out here. It's so easy to start to feel like, as you were saying before, is this ever going to happen for me? You start to look at your bank account and say, oh, can I actually do this?
Yeah.
And, that you can only do that for so long. So what are some things that you do outside of all of this that you feel like just help you maintain who you are?
Maintain who I am and my sanity?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I love dancing. I grew up dancing. My first paid job was actually pre-NYU. The first time I got money to do something other than the Tooth Fairy was a dancing job. Yeah, a performer's dancing job in this huge event in Orange County. I had to do belly dancing, and I made my first dollar, and I'll never forget that. It was not a lot of money. I had a great time, but it was not a lot of money. So I love dancing. My family, we all are very connected to music in different ways. So that is definitely therapeutic for me. I do go to dance class, not to perform, not to compete, just to get it out. I like to go out dancing with friends. There was a part of my life not that long ago where I was teaching Latin salsa classes, salsa, bachata, merengue. And, I still have some students who are friends now, and I'm like, yeah, let's do a class, because to me, that is a huge release. It's very therapeutic. And I like to say, and so my boyfriend invented it, I have a condition. If I hear a beat, I'll start moving. Whether I'm in the movies or I'm at the line of the DMV or at a funeral, if there's a beat, my body will respond. And it's sometimes embarrassing, sometimes funny, but I am the person who pulls everybody to the dance floor as much as I can. I even dance when I hear movie trailers. If there's a beat, my body just moves. And it's it wakes me up. And my worst days when I'm tired, like you said, we were talking about getting no sleep. There's a lot of being tired. I'll turn music on, and it will wake me up, and it'll give me that energy that I need. So dancing is one of them. I do have a great therapist, I will say. I have a great therapist, keeps me grounded, keeps me checked, etc. I like to go to the gym. I like to lift weights, which it is also a release. Yes, it's aesthetic and it's LA. Everybody wants to look a certain way, but it is a huge release to me. The body retains a lot, and I've even had cry sessions during a workout session, right? Because you just get that, again, that release, that connection that is just visceral. What else? I will say, I cook at home and stuff, but that's just more because I need to.
What you're good at is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm decent. I'm a decent cook. I'm good. I'm not bad. My brother's a chef, so I pick something up.
That definitely helps.
Yeah. And spending time with friends, even if, and just decompressing from the industry, just chilling, and sometimes watching something not as a audience member in the industry who you're distilling it just to enjoy a story, really helps a lot. I meditate. That keeps me sane. I meditate every day. And what else? I was thinking about this. I recently learned how to DJ, but it's only because my boyfriend's a DJ. It's sort of like osmosis. I picked it up. I did DJ my own birthday party. That was awesome. I did a full set.
I completely forgot about that because fortunately, our mutual friend, I was invited. That's gotta be.
Yeah, Chloe and I did our birthday party. Yeah. The DJ there.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that was your boyfriend.
One of them's there. So that is, I wouldn't say it's a hobby that I practice a lot, but it's connected to music and I have a lot of fun when I do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet. So not only are you just incredibly talented at a lot of different parts of the industry, you're also just a joy to be around. It sounds like you like to not only have fun yourself, but also help bring the fun out of other people by making sure they get out on the dance floor, having a good time with the music. And I fully agree on the exercise side of things. The only way for me to get stress out of my life is to like go to the beach and rollerblade or rock climb or any of that type of stuff like that. I need like cardio to just work out whatever I have going on, which isn't horribly dissimilar from what you're trying to do as well. And
yeah, not at all.
Also, I feel like as an actor and a writer and a director, it's also great just to have that many different experiences. So you are just open to so many more parts of life that you can imbue in your work.
Yeah. Yeah. I also volunteer at a museum, Which
one?
At the Holocaust Museum in LA. I volunteer. Yeah. And it's good. It's not related to the industry at all, right? Like you don't talk industry, you're receiving guests and seeing school tours of all ages, seeing their curiosity and how people are changed once they enter and once they leave after an hour and a half or whatnot. That definitely helps my mindset. You know, there's something the industry is huge, but there's also a lot of bigger other things. Yeah.
Yes. There's more to life than just the industry, and it's taken me a long time to still not learn that.
And also like the industry exists because it reflects life. We tell stories that are reflecting life experiences, even if they are supernatural or fantastical, right? They reflect humanity. So being in connection to humanity inspires me to go back and tell the stories.
I can't even, you said it very well. Agreed. And so you've been in the industry for probably a little over a decade at this point. Between
let's just say that.
Yeah, well, just between, if we're looking at, from when you graduated up until now, little over a decade. So is there anything looking back that you wish you had done differently at this moment?
Yes. I wished I would have, when I was in college still, I wish I would have focused on what was going to happen after college as much as I was focusing on the process in school. And we had a lot of shows in theater school, a lot of rehearsals, a lot of different practicum classes where you're learning to be an actor and you're learning what to do with your voice, your body, everything, your mind, your heart. And I was full immersed, like the days, and the reason I'm okay with having very long days and weekends now is because being in conservatory, it's 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 6 days a week, sometimes 7. So it's ingrained in me, that rhythm, that stamina, right? I operate okay because it was so many years. Now, I do wish that I would have focused on the business side a bit more while in school and not just the incredible dedication that I was giving the classes and the shows that we were in as an actor. But it came later, it came later.
Yeah, it's one of those skills that kind of has to develop if you want to survive. And I feel like every single person who I brought on who I've asked that question to has given roughly the same answer. We all wish that school was better at teaching us how to sustain ourselves in between the jobs that we're getting, how to manage finding some of those next things, any of the business acumen that you might not get if you're in a creative class.
Yeah, exactly.
And so now that we are kind of getting to the end of all this, I want to know a little bit more about your play. So,
Oh, okay.
yes, because it's coming up. Actually, this episode is airing the day that it comes out. So
Yes, come see us.
go see Platinum Pussy, everybody.
Come see Platinum Pussy. We open tomorrow. We open June 7th at the Fringe, at the Hudson Theater, which is a beautiful theater. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of being there. What can I tell you?
Like, you mentioned that it was, your friend kind of inspired it, and then you guys co-wrote it together. Like, so after they inspired it, and you guys started co-writing, what were the next steps after that? And you mentioned you worked on a deadline too.
Yeah, I mean, and also we cast a lot of people that we know collectively. So as we were writing for people that we knew, which was very helpful. To hear the voices versus like writing it, finishing it, and then trying to cast it to like adapt someone's voice to the thing. So that was very helpful. It does, and the play does challenge gender roles. It challenges our views on sexuality. It challenges how evolved we actually are as a society, because it's not the same to say, I'm woke or I'm evolved or I believe in like equality or whatnot when you're actually down to the wire and what choice do you have to make. So it's a challenging play. It's still a comedy. I live for comedy. I live for dark comedy. I live for awkward moments. It is my favorite part of storytelling because that's life and it happens all the time. And I live for dealing with those awkward moments with humor. So the play does a lot of that. And there's a tad bit of audience interaction, nothing crazy. No, we're not gonna, haggle on anyone. We're not, but it's still a back and forth with the audience and making the audiences think, making audiences process in real time, which is, connect to the people on stage and pick a side at every single second. Like the idea is that the audience is thinking as and changing sides as they're seeing these characters go through what they're going through in this live taping of a late night show. So it's full of surprises. We have a souvenir. If you come, you get a souvenir. It's included with your ticket and it's pretty funny. So
I cannot wait to see what it is. I don't know which date I'm going to come yet, but I will absolutely be there. I can't hear you talking about this whole thing and not want to come and support you in your career and making sure this thing can at least get its money back. Because once again, I had friends who thought they were going to do like a theater startup and they did 2 plays and they were both great. But I saw how difficult it was to get that up and running, how much money and time. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for anybody who's able to pull that off.
Yeah.
And everything else that you have going on.
Yeah. I'm prepping for the film in July, but it's great. And the entire cast and crew has given their heart, their blood, sweat, and tears, and their hearts, and their minds, and their second toe, and their firstborn, all of their things. They have put in so much hard work, and it shows. And we're definitely very ready. We're excited to share this with the world. We're excited for anyone to come and tell us what they think and to make you laugh. We need a little more laughter.
I could use some laughter right about now. So I agree. I will absolutely be there, and everybody else can be there at, the Hudson Theater in LA, June 7th, 16th, 26th, and 29th. Once again, Platinum Pussy, if you somehow forgot the name of it, and the link will be down below. Now, I guess to round out everything, are there any tips or tricks or anything that you would like to say to the next generation of people who are either thinking about going to college for any of this, who are currently in college, or making the move to LA or New York or Atlanta or any of these other hubs?
Yes, I have 2 things to say. One is going to age me. One is, I'm going to grab my phone, is the world is bigger than the flat screen that's in front of you. Look up, look around, and listen. That's one, because it is a little scary that the future of the world seems like it's running flat in a screen. The other is you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. There's a ton of great artists trying to help other artists lift them up. I have people in my play that have never done theater before. I didn't go and scout for the most seasoned people, and this is a very hard play to pull off. We're going to pull it off, and it's people whose first play it is ever, and I'm so excited to have them on board and to have them fall in love. Maybe the next play they do, they're going to go into theater because of it. So there are a lot of people who want to pull other people up that are new, that are quote unquote green, etc. So find the people that inspire you and do everything you can to work with them.
Well, you have given nothing but wonderful, well-worded advice this entire time. So, Stephanie, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and, on the night before opening night, recording this. Thank you, truly.
Thank you.
And I hope that, if anybody is out there listening to this, that you're able to get out and support Stephanie and her terrific team who have been pulling this together. And I can't wait to see this feature that you're now shooting in July. I can't wait for this feature that's going to be the feature-length version of the short film that you did. It just sounds like you have an exciting future ahead. So I'm glad we got you on kind of at this crux point in your career. And I can't wait to have you back on in like a year or two and see where you are at and what you're working on. So thank you. And everybody else, thank you for watching and or listening to this, depending on how you are listening or viewing this. We are on YouTube, on Spotify, and everywhere else where you can get podcasts at A Nerdy Journey. Thank you so much and have a great whatever time of day you're watching and or listening to this. Thank you.